There was once a priest who was being honored for his retirement. After 25 years of diligently serving his parish, they threw a big event to honor him. And a leading local politician in the community, who is also a member of the church, one of the congregants there, one of the congregation, was going to be the headlining speaker. Now, he was delayed and he was a little bit late arriving to the dinner, so the priest figured he'd fill a bit of time, and he got up to share a few words. And he said, "I'll never forget my very first day here at this parish. I have to be honest, it was not the best first impression. The very first confession that I heard, I thought after I was assigned to a terrible place, a community of just wicked, evil people. The very first person to enter my confessional booth said to me, he had stolen a TV set, and when stopped by police, he had pinned it on someone else so that they got convicted of the crime. He took money from his parents, he embezzled from his place of business, he even had an affair. I was appalled," the priest said. "But in the days and weeks and months and years that came, I learned what a loving and caring community this was, and that this person was not the example." And right as the priest finished his remarks, the politician finally arrived at the event and went up on the stage, and what did he say? "It's an honor to get to be here today to talk about our fine minister, our priest. I'll never forget the day he came. I was actually the very first person who got to give confession." It's a silly joke. But the politician here, we think, is a pretty evil guy. But what's interesting is our Parsha has some lessons for us, our tradition, on what righteousness and what wickedness are. In the Mishnah of Avot, the rabbis teach that there are 4 different personality traits. And everyone in our society embodies one of these 4 ways of thinking, they tell us. The very first is the righteous. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is yours. The next they tell us is the trait of the wicked. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine. The third is the trait of the fool. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is mine. And the very last one, what category is left? What's mine, and yours is yours. And it doesn't sound like it's such a bad way to live, right? It's the old adage. Good fences make good neighbors. What's mine is mine, and yours is yours. Boundaries and order and separation that helps us to get along in society. Well, the rabbis tell us, right, we had the righteous, we've already had the wicked, we had the foolish perspective. This perspective, this personality, the rabbis tell us, is actually the trait of Sodom. This is the way they thought in that evil city, the city that God destroyed in our Parsha this week. And the question is why? Why is that so bad? Again, as the expression goes, good fences make good neighbors. It's a long old adage. Robert Frost wrote a beautiful poem about it where he asked the question, is that really true? Is that really what makes a good neighbor, that kind of division and boundary? In our Parsha this week, and from the rabbis, our tradition tells us it's not the case. What's mine is mine, and yours is yours. Sodom, they tell us, the issue wasn't just wickedness, but it was the individuality, the separation. Nobody saw themselves as connected to anybody else. They weren't a community. They weren't even families. They were individuals all out for themselves. You stay in your lane, and I'll stay in my lane. And what our tradition teaches us is that that's not the way to live. We are connected to each other. We have to be there for each other. In fact, our Parsha employs a great literary technique because it places that story of Sodom right after the story of Abraham, who when strangers, people he didn't know, came to greet him in the middle of the desert, he went out to help them. He went out to feed them. He went out to wash their feet. He welcomed them with open arms. He exemplified what the rabbis tell us is that trait of righteousness. What is mine is yours, and yours is yours. I want to give, I don't want to take. I want to be there for you, and I'm not asking for anything specifically in return. That is the trait of righteousness. To recognize the responsibility we have to others. And it's fitting today that this is the parsha we read and the lesson we have on this Shabbat, the day after Remembrance Day. As we remember the veterans who served this country, those who served the cause of freedom and democracy, those who served to bring peace and to end bloodshed, and who gave their lives to protect the lives of others. As Winston Churchill said, never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. He was referring to the brave pilots of the British Royal Air Force who helped to hold off a German invasion. And yet his words are true of all who served, whether in World War II or World War I or in any other battle. Of all of those who risked their own lives to save the lives of others, who had that trait of righteousness, what's mine is yours, willing to lay down their lives to protect others. The righteous, this Shabbat, we remember them in their selflessness. More than 1 million Canadians served in World War II. And over 3.5 million British men and women, and more than 16 million Americans. I'm incredibly proud as a Jew of the Jewish men and women who served, who risked their lives to save others. More than 17,000 Jewish Canadians served in World War II. Heroes like Esther Thorley, whose older brother enlisted in World War II and was killed. And when she turned 18, what did she do? She enlisted herself. Because somebody from our family should be there, she said, when interviewed. So this Shabbat, we remember the righteous, the heroes who said, what's mine is yours and yours is yours. They understood the lesson of our parsha. We were all connected to each other. We can't just say that's their problem. It's going on the other side of the world, or it's going on in another town, or it's going on in another part of our town, or somebody else, but that's not my household. That's theirs. Their household, their problem. We are connected to each other. We should have learned that lesson these past 2 years when a disease that was started on the other side of the world shut down the entire world. We all have an obligation to help because we're connected, because we are human, because we are Jews, and that is what our tradition demands of us. So today, as we remember those who bravely served, hi, sweetie. Do you want me to? It's okay. Say hi. Now she wants mama, of course. Today, as we remember those who bravely served, I'm asking not that we all go out today and enlist. It's an incredible thing to do. But I'm asking that we start to think about what it means to live that trait of righteousness. Tzedek, or tzaddik. Tzedakah often we think of as charity. It's something nice, it's something voluntary, it's something helpful. We do it because we want to. But what our tradition teaches us is that charity is not a choice. Tzedakah is not charity, it's righteousness, it's justice. It is a commandment to give to others, to be there for others. So in the coming weeks and months, we're going to be involving us here at Beth Torah in bringing justice, not just for the Jewish community, but our larger community, the city of Toronto, our country of Canada, and in the world. As we remember those this Shabbat who risked their lives for the lives of others, who knew their obligation to help, we look towards them as our example. We look to Abraham Avinu. Abraham, our father, is a pretty good reminder of what it means to serve others and to remember that we are a community. And we look into ourselves to ask, not how can we be like the politician, taking for ourselves and not caring about others, but instead, how we can live that trait of tzedek. What's mine is yours, and yours is yours. We're connected to each other. Shabbat shalom.